Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my Sunday Night Football edition of the DraftKings Showdown Breakdown. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Be sure to let me know in the comment section, who do you like at Captain and at Utility, and follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman so I can drop updates to my sim results as we get closer to lock. Some of the big time stuff for the slate. Average fantasy points scored in the optimal, 148.5. The median salary used, 49,300. There's not a ton of value on this slate. On average, 3.1 Seahawks in the optimal lineup, 2.9 Vikings. A little surprising, Seahawks 7-point favorites with a monster 56-point total. This should be a really nice game for fantasy scoring. Now, I think it's time we dive into the captains. All right, at captain, I have two guys that stand out to me slightly more than the rest of the field. Adam Thielen and Tyler Lockett. Thielen, 14-7 in the captain spot. Tyler Lockett, 12-9 in the captain spot. Thielen showing up there about 17% of the time. Lockett, 15% of the time. Both of those numbers a little bit higher than where the public ownership is as of right now. I think both of those guys are the best options for you to pick up a little bit of leverage on the field. I think DK Metcalf is fine. I just think he's a little bit overpriced, although he is going a little lighter in the ownership. Dalvin Cook, pretty much a neutral play to me. Kirk Cousins, pretty much a neutral play. Justin Jefferson, pretty neutral. Chris Carson, neutral. There's not a lot of edge to be had at the captain spot other than Thielen and Lockett. Jason Myers gets there a little bit. That one feels a little odd to me, but it's only 5% of the time, so it's not like it's a huge stand. If you were playing in the 20 max, you might want one with him. I'll touch on Russell Wilson in a little bit. Now, as we head to the utility side, buckle up because one, I'm not talking about Russell Wilson here, and two, there's a decent chance that I call him Russell Westbrook because I've been getting that wrong for years. Anyway, if we're starting at utility spots, the guy that I like the most would be Kirk Cousins. Shows up in the optimal utility spot 44% of the time. That's tied for the tops with Chris Carson, so let's lump both of these guys in together. Cousins going wildly underowned, only 38% public ownership. One of the better pieces of leverage that you can pick up. Similar story for Chris Carson, 37% owned. You can get to Cousins and Carson pretty easily because of their price tags, and given their public ownership, I think that's the direction you should go. Justin Jefferson also going a little bit underowned at 8K, but I prefer Cousins slightly above him. I prefer Carson slightly below him. After that, I'm taking a couple steps down. David Moore looks fine. Greg Olsen looks fine. Jason Myers and Dan Bailey, I have no issue going to the kickers. When you have such a high total, there's a decent chance that, some of those touchdowns only turn into field goals. So I don't necessarily like getting to Myers and Bailey together, but I do like them separately. Seahawks D also, it's hard to ignore that. $3,600. I think they show up in the optimal about 20% of the time. They're only pulling roughly 10% ownership. I bet you guys have noticed that I haven't said anything about Dalvin Cook. He's fine. 39%. Ownership is 42%. Kind of neutral. DK Metcalf, kind of neutral. I think Tyler Lockett's going a little overowned in the utility, but because I like him a lot at captain, I'm willing to have that sort of trade-off. I'm just more likely to have him in the captain spot than utility. That's fine by me. Alrighty, time to talk about fades. I had this conversation a couple days ago with regards to Tom Brady, and I was pretty happy with it. Now we have to have it again. Russell Wilson is $19,500 in the captain spot. That is $4,200 more expensive than Dalvin Cook. Now, he's a likely captain, shows up in the optimal at the captain spot 11.5% of the time. The problem is he's projected for over 20% ownership. That's just too high for me. I would rather use someone other than Russell Wilson in the captain spot to give myself a better chance of winning a GPP, or at the very least, with chopping with less people. It's not to say that Russell Wilson doesn't get there regularly. He has the fourth highest odds of being the optimal captain. But I don't think you win more money by rostering someone that is overowned. So I don't really love getting to Russell Wilson there. And I don't really love him in the utility spot either. Now, you can't avoid him in the utility spot. There's no scenario where you want to full fade him. He shows up in an optimal lineup like half of the time. 43% of the time in the utility spot. But again, he's picking up 54% ownership. That's just too high of a number. The more likely scenario for me is that I come in a little bit lighter on Wilson in the utility spot, somewhere in that 25 to 30% range, and I hope that I can make that up in other spots. Like, for example, I really do like Chris Carson at the utility spot. I mentioned it before. If I don't like Russell Wilson all that much, I'm pretty happy getting to Chris Carson then. That's the way that Russell Wilson has a lighter day. I'm not wild about Dalvin Cook or DK Metcalf at utility. Again, these guys are coming in slightly less than their ownership, so I think it's easier to go heavier on the Cousins, Carson, Jefferson, Myers, Bailey, Seahawks area and come in a little lighter on the pay-up options. And that's why I saw the median salary be a little bit higher here. I'm not wild about paying all the way up. When you're saving money, it's easier to use your full amount of salary. So take some of these lower owned guys, and I think you can find yourself a little bit more success. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. This is my showdown breakdown for Sunday Night Football's game between the Vikings and the Seahawks. One last call. Please, please, please hit that thumbs up. Hit the like button. It helps me out so much. I love seeing that number climb. The ego in me can't help it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman so you can get the updates to my sim results as we get closer to lock. And finally, check out the FanDuel video that I've got. There should be a link around here somewhere where you could watch my FanDuel breakdown the same way the DraftKings one happened. So if you're playing on both sites, you are in luck. Let me know in the comments who you like at captain and utility, and good luck tonight as we head to another showdown slate.